So this video was originally intended to show you a commercial shoot. That was it. That's what my whole plan was. I picked up my Hasselblad because it's a commercial shoot or a lookbook, needed the color, and said, what the heck, I'm going to try something because I got something new in. So I put this down and picked up the Leica. On the Leica, I have the new 15mm Summilux 1.4, the 2023 version. And I took a couple shots that came up on the iPad screen because I'm using that wireless tethering, which is fantastic. Now, I was tethering with the Hasselblad for the first 10 shots that I did with it, and they download directly to the iPad. So like when you shoot, it goes right to the iPad, doesn't go to the card. It takes a lot longer, so there's a longer wait period, which, if you tether direct to like Capture One or Focus, they would come up quite a bit faster, but I love wireless tethering, so I waited. It wasn't the ideal situation because the stylist was here, the designer was here, and she wanted to see what the images were looking like and the models and so forth. So when I switched over to the Leica and took a couple of shots, the first thing we did is pixel peep on those images to see how this lens was doing, and instantly she said, let's use that. For the gear, before I get into the lens, I use the ProPhoto Connect. This is the ProPhoto Connect for Leica. This is a really, really nice unit. The TTL is decent. It's not perfect, but it's decent. And the form factor is fine on the M11, on M camera, if you will. The next thing I used, let me just grab the camera here so I can do this without. I used the ProPhoto D2 in a 72-inch umbrella. This is not a ProPhoto umbrella. I like the deeper size of the ProPhoto umbrella, but the expense I don't like. I used two of the Godox DP1000 version 3s inside of V-flats. And the DP1000s were set to optical slave, so when this fired, they fired. Very, very simple. Now, I was going to just show, part of the shoot, so you can get an idea of the shoot and so forth. I was just going to use the Hasselblad and go through it as I normally do. But I got this lens in because I really wanted to try this lens. I saw a couple people review this lens and say it's just as sharp as the old one, or the old one's just as sharp as this one. And I'm like, if they optimize it for the M11, for the 60 megapixel sensor, I can't imagine them going, hey, we're just going to redesign it, throw a different lens hood on, throw a couple of extra aperture blades in there, but it's all going to be the same. It didn't make sense to me. So I'm digging in a little deeper. It is wider, which is because of the front element is a little wider. The rear element, the floating element, is the same, but the front is a little bit wider, which will account for the better edge performance on the new one, which really doesn't make a difference to me. Even if I'm shooting commercial like this, because the model is centered, none of the part of the model is going to be hitting an edge ever. So that didn't matter to me. The aperture blades, I don't shoot, for blurry backgrounds, so that didn't matter to me. I did like the design of the lens hood. Again, not an issue. Now on here, I do have a filter. I just want to go over this really quick. I use the B&W filters. This is the B&W Clear. I really want to give you the name of this because I love these filters so much. It's the Clear MRC filter. I apologize. I'll throw it in the link below. They're low profile. They're incredibly well-made filters. I can't find a difference whatsoever between these and the Leicas, except for $100 difference. I think this is like $59 new or something. When I shoot in studio or in a controlled environment. Even if I'm outside, I'm in a controlled environment. I'm not walking around with the lens. I'm not in an event or something like that. This filter comes off. Just for precaution, for maybe it's a mental sake, I don't know. But I take the filter off. If I'm shooting an event or anything else where I'm not in a controlled environment, I leave it on. It protects the lens, period. The next thing, the very first shot that I took and we pulled up on the iPad, it was instantly a noticeable difference in resolution. Now, I know a bunch of them just shot charts or objects that were lifeless, whatever, and said, oh, they're both sharp. Well, Leica never claimed that the other lens was less sharp than this one. They didn't make this lens to be sharper. They make all their lens to be sharp, but there was no difference in sharpness in the center, mid, whatever. And I didn't have any complaints with the sharpness of the old one, the version 1 spherical. But I had a problem with the resolution. It just wasn't resolving the way it should. Now, I don't care what they did with this. I am not going to go into technical or any kind of debate whatsoever. I shoot real world, I shoot actual jobs. And when I pulled the images up and the client was standing here and she instantly said, yes, that was it for me. I saw a difference. She was thrilled with the photo quality. I'm done. The lens is incredible. Like, I can see a noticeable difference in resolution with the M11. Now, I don't think the version 1 is a bad choice for people that don't care about that, extreme edge sharpness, that are running 24 megapixels. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference on an everyday basis. But because I use this camera for commercial work and I stopped down to 5.6 and it gave me that kind of resolution that I didn't have on the old one, really, really happy. I'm just impressed with this lens, if you can't tell. I am so happy that, when I pulled up the images, and I'll show them, all the images you see are straight out of the camera. There was no retouching done. I did the white balance and pasted it across the board with my chart. And that's one thing I can't do a job without, is the data color color chart. I shoot both sides. My side is the gray side for the initial white balance in Lightroom, and they use the color side for the printing purposes. I don't retouch these photos. I give them to them as is, right from Lightroom, and they take care of the rest. But they have a really, really good product to start with. So again, I'm still going to show you this shoot because I want you to see it. You're going to see my messy desk from everything else. It's bad in here, but you'll get to see the shoot, how these lights did. Now, I love the D2s because of the consistency in color. The back DP1000s, they're not quite as consistent. So I did have a few fluctuations at times, but as a whole, they did a fantastic job. They never missed, literally never missed. This never missed. We did, for the shoot, I believe a total of 802 images for 52 clothing pieces, which some were reversible. So, but it was a total of 52 pieces, and I didn't have one miss. And I, other than once in a while, I'll have, closed eyes with one of the models. They were all spotless. Everything just went as planned. And again, this lens, if you have the M11 or any other higher megapixel camera that you're using it on or adapting it to, is so worth the upgrade. I'm not trying to sell this for Leica, but I've never been quite as impressed. Literally, I am so impressed and so happy with this lens. I feel like selling my Voigtlander Apo, and you know how much I love that lens. It's just incredible. But this lens is really a close second. I used it at an event that 2 days prior. I just took it. The day I got it, I put it on the camera and went to the event. I shot 90% of the event on 50 millimeter. I did have my 28 millimeter, which I used for a couple group shots. That was it, because I couldn't take this off. I used less flash. I did use it wide open on a few occasions. Remember, like I'm usually stopping down even 2.8, so I don't have blurry partners right next to somebody. But I played with it, and looked at the quality and the rendition, and I looked for chromatic aberrations because I hate those so much. I didn't have an issue with this lens at all. So I'm extremely happy with this upgrade. And I know a couple people were bitching about there's no ridges anymore on the focus, just the focus tab. I didn't notice me minding it. Oh, close focus, I didn't use it at all. I should have used it at the event, but I just, because I'm so used to not having it, I didn't even think about it. I do like the hard stop on it. And then I wouldn't say a hard stop, I would say a nudge, and then it goes in. I love that design. So, you know where your 0.7 is for your rangefinder. Would I recommend this lens? Without question. I really, the sad part is now I want the 35, but I'm happy with the Voigtlander 35. I just can't afford another $5,500, which is ridiculous. But this, I can't say enough about it. I'm just excited to have it on the M11. I really, really love it that much. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking now. Here's the shoot. Hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, leave them below as always. Again, these photos are straight out of camera. I'll buzz through the Lightroom and then I'll bring up a couple photos as well. But thanks for watching as always. Now, I promise not to make this a complete lens review about this 50mm because I really do love it that much. I haven't loved a lens this much since the Voigtlander 50 Apo. And I'm not kidding you there. I remember in a video quite a while back, I always say, like, I just looking for that perfect lens for me. And I think I may have found it because, I was like putting filters on the 50 Apo to take it down to where I needed to be for skin tones and so forth. But this 50 Summilux, this new one from 2023, it just may be there for me. It may be everything I need. Anyway, getting to the shoot, and I'm going to show you different angles of the shoot so you can see what the setup looks like versus, just one shoot and showing you photos throughout. I'll show you the photos at the end, but in the back here, you can see the lights and the V-flats. They're the same on either side. It just lights up the background, even lighting, from head to toe for the model. I shoot full length for all these, not that they're going to use full length, but, there are times where they go, we need a full length for this. And with 60 megapixels and the size of their lookbook, they can get away with cropping in post without problem at all. Now, we take the shots. By the way, the D2 is in a 69 or a 72 inch umbrella. I'm sure it's the Westcott white umbrella. I love that. I do like the deeper style of the Pro Photo, but I just, I can't bear to justify a $400 and some umbrella when I'm getting pretty much basically the same look with the Westcott one. And it's a great quality Westcott umbrella that it's their extra large. I'm not sure if it's 69 or 72. Not that it matters with the, a 2-inch difference, but it works really well. Now, with the 50mm lens, the negative side of this, because with the Hasselblad, I was going to use the 35mm equivalent, the 45, which is fine. It works great in the studio. But this is a small studio, as you can see. And the 50mm, I'm against the door. Now I'm getting the full length shots that I need with the 50mm against the door, and I wasn't uncomfortable, but I'm back to the edge. I can open up both doors and shoot outside, which I have done before. But it's more comfortable. The doors are closed and I can just shoot from there. But it did work, and it worked out fine. Now the only lights being used are that one light that's right by me, the D2, and the two behind the V-flats. Nothing else is lighting the scene. The LEDs up top are just, for room light, for work light, and they don't affect the image at all. Now, as we shoot for commercial shoots, especially with coats like this, the coats come in, these are all samples for the spring line. None of these are actually the finished product. So they have to be clamped and pinned and moved. So it takes a little bit longer to do a shoot like this, but it's nice to have the iPad there to tether like this, and whether it was, I would actually have to wire tether for a situation like this, so the stylist can see each photo to make sure we got the shot prior to moving to the next jacket. It goes quick, but there are times where one coat will take us 15 minutes versus another coat taking us 3 minutes. And some of these coats are reversible, so it's double that time in each direction if the coat's just not laying right or wasn't cut right on the sample. We have to make up for that to show it as a finished coat. I know this is boring. So are the photos. That's why I'm not showing them to you as we're going through. Like a catalog or a lookbook shot for studio work is just that. It's boring. It's showing off the coats. And lookbooks are used for buyers to sell to stores and so forth. That being said, I really wanted to give you just a look into this, and I'm gonna keep loading about this lens because it really is that good. Absolutely loved it. Now here's the view from the iPad. I wanted to show you how quickly it goes through after each shot. I mean, maybe a second and a half, 2 seconds sometimes. But now that I'm doing this, I'm gonna rapid fire a couple just so you can see. Like as soon as I shoot, a couple seconds later, it's up on the screen. And, it's not a full resolution, but you can zoom in and actually take a look at the quality, make sure you nailed focus. If she needed to zoom in and see a specific part of the coat to make sure we got it right, she can do that as well. But like I said, it's not that top quality, but it's enough to get the vision of what you're looking for. She noticed something on her shoe. The strap was hanging. Without this, we wouldn't have noticed that. And it took a little bit, for her to notice that. So this coat took, a little bit longer than it should have because we had to fix that strap. Yeah, it can be easily fixed in post. But, why not fix it here so you don't have to worry about it later? Now, the photos you're going to see that I'm going to show you are really directly out of camera. What I did is I used the gray card, and I shoot two sides of the gray card, the gray side for myself and then the color side for them. And then I just color balance throughout Lightroom in one paste and just wait for it to get done. And that's it. Then they're sent to the manufacturer, the company, and their people take care of the rest. Now this outside shot, like I said, it's just the A2 and the 50 millimeter, and the photos come out great. Anyway, here's a look at the photos straight out of camera. You can see the background's not pure white, but they don't want it that way because we need that separation with the lighter coats. Here's an image. This is what it looks like, even with the LEDs in the studio, without the flash. It's a black image. But going through the photos, you can see the consistency of it. The quality of that lens is like really jaw-dropping compared to the old one. I'm in shock. Don't get me wrong, like the old one was very, very sharp, but it didn't render that 60 megapixel lens nearly as good as this one. So I don't know what they did. I don't care what they did. I don't care about the internals of a lens. It doesn't mean anything to me. The only thing that matters to me is I shoot it and it works. But I wanted to show you some of these, and I'm not even letting these load. I'm just pulling them up really quick. But I'll pull up some photos that are, finished. Well, not finished, but, loaded at the end here so you can see the quality. It's beautiful. Like the color transition, everything was just perfect for the brand. They looked at the photos, we zoomed in on them, and, took a good look at them. And we used the full-size images, not the transferred ones, so she can make her decision. And, she was happy with them, and I was thrilled to shoot the Leica through this whole thing as well. But I hope you enjoyed this shoot as always. If you have any questions, leave them below. And again, thanks as always for watching.